was that for a fancy intro that Brendan made for the Patreon exclusive ASC live stream, the first one of the new, I guess, format, I guess you could say. We are live. It is Saturday morning. It is 9 a.m. Central Time, which I believe would mean it's 10 for you, babe.
Yep.
I'm 34 years old. I still don't know my time zones very well, but we're all right. We're all right. And you know, if our European friend is tuning in, I'm curious to know what time zone or time it is for him right now. But whatever. Maybe if he's tuning in, he'll tell us. Brendan.
Yeah.
We got sci-fi themed or like underwater habitats and TV and movies.
Yes.
So like
and more. So and more, any kind of media. If you got other media like Babe, I know is going to talk about video games and along those lines. Like there, Martin says it's 1600 in Germany, so it's just the afternoon for him.
4 o'clock.
Not helpful. Like
what's 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Oh, okay, 4 o'clock.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that. So my list got so long, I just narrowed it down to just TV shows and movies, and so yeah, I was going to jump into video games. It was already getting pretty lengthy, so I said, "Hey, Babe can handle the video games, and then we can talk about anything." I was going to look at books and stuff on those lines. So I was like, "Man, this is going to get ridiculous. We could be here for like a couple hours at that rate." Because I think like authors like Clive Cussler, he's got a whole entire series just dealing with underwater stuff on those lines.
Yep.
So there's a bunch of different authors out there, popular ones too, that deal with it. So, yeah.
Well, let's just get right into it, Brendan. I know you got a slide deck and. Yeah,
and so also we were talking about beforehand. We're going to rank them, and so we're ranking by on believability, possibly like how feasible that actually is, and then just like how much we like them, I guess, or something along those lines too. Maybe.
What, you want to do two separate scores?
I don't know. What are you thinking? You just want to do one?
I think we should just do an overall how we like it. I don't necessarily if it should go off of believability because. I feel like there's going to be a lot of meetings at sci-fi. I think a lot of them are going to be like, that's a bit far-fetched, but they might be super cool. So it's just like,
all right, fair enough. So
one score. Let's
all right, fine. Let's do one score. So we'll start with the TV ones. I limit the TV ones. I try to focus on only ones that I could find images for and actually had underwater habitats in. So that excluded like submarines. And there's a couple that are iffy, even added to this list. But anyway. So the first one we're going to go over, and I try to do them in ranging date from how old they were to the newest as well. So
can I interject something?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like one of the reasons we've all talked about this is because so much sci-fi stuff comes true.
Yes.
And so that's why, plus for fun, but for one of the biggest reasons we're doing this is because, hey, things that were far-fetched then aren't now, because we just talked about far-fetched things. Yep. Star Trek 20, 30 years ago had iPads, right? Yep. I mean, that's literally what they're carrying around. And now look at us, here we have them.
And to that point, I do those podcast shorts now. And my one for this next week is going to be exactly about that, is why is sci-fi important and why does it matter? And for those exact reasons. So, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's because of the sci-fi that we're even doing this. I mean, it's because that spurred that imagination. I mean, yes, there's a passion for underwater, but the imagination that sci-fi gives people and the creativity. Anyway.
Thank you.
You can interject anytime you want, babe.
But please, let us know ahead of time when you're.
Yeah, we need 2 weeks notice. Anyway, so the very first one is dear to my heart, but of course it's C-Lab 2020.
Are we saying 2020 or 2021?
Well, we're going to get to both because there's 2 of them. 2020 was Hanna-Barbera, and it's in 1972. And it's only 15 episodes, so it's like a really short run. I guess it didn't do so hot. But then following up in 2000 was, 2021 with Pod 6. They're always getting imploded. But I like this picture because it showed all the different areas and some of those like basically it's the same show, except for one was just much funnier. And this one lasted from 2000 to 2005, so it had 52 episodes. And what I will do after the fact is I will drop all the Wikipedia links to all these different shows and stuff like that in there, so people want to read up more on them, they can. Anyway, kind of lump them together. So do you want to rate? Do you want to rate them now as far as, or you want to see the total? Or how you want to do it?
I think, should we do 1 through 5 or 1 through 10? What would be better? 1 through 10 probably gives you a little bit more.
Whatever.
Give you a better a feeling of.
I'm doing a 2 no matter what on these.
What, really? Like 2, whether it's.
It's just a campy. It's like, it's fun, but it's like, man,
oh boy.
I could do it with or without it.
It's with or without it, but I always like the aspect that it's got, there was enough believable things. Plus, since the sci-fi thing, like, they had the underwater sleds and stuff. So yeah, it's, if it were me, I'd rank a little higher. If we're going to 1 to 10, I'm going to like a 4.
Okay, so, and I think my rating comes from just my love of the show, but I'm gonna go with a 6 on this, just because I think it is a cool design that does have a little bit of a hint of realistic look to it in a sense. I mean, they have like the whole like round, how we always talk about like for pressure reasons, like things being round and all that stuff is like in dome shaped is essential, and it has a lot of that to it. So yeah, I think it's kind of neat. I'm gonna go with a 6. So Brendan with a 2, Babe with a 4, Adam with a 6.
Yeah. And if Martin's, what all Martin has or hasn't seen, he needs to chime in too.
Yeah, you can definitely vote on this too. I think the one thing that's interesting about this is, since these came from the 72, you can definitely see the influence of Cousteau and everybody building habitats at that time, because that was the heyday. That was the glory days of building underwater habitats. So it was going off of that momentum at the time. And next, yes,
another one of your near and dears.
Oh yes, Sequest DSV. I could do a whole episode just on this one alone. Anyway, I got a couple different pictures of underwater habitats from this one here. Some of them are like somebody went back and recreated them, updated visuals of ones that existed. This image here I like the most, because one of my very first underwater habitat designs was that ball with that ring around there, and it had legs coming off of it, and it was basically a house inside of there. And then it had, and then I had some that had little pods coming off of it. I had a bunch of different designs back before I was even realistic. It was just like, hey, I want an underwater habitat. What's it going to look like? And just started designing. And it was very heavily influenced by Sequest, because it's all around that same time. And here's another one from one of the episodes. And and then once again, another giant domed one. This was another C3 after the fact one. So yeah, Sequest DSV. It was obviously 1993 through 1996. It was set in the year 2018, but then went all the way up to the year 2032. So depending on when you're watching it, which episode or which season you're watching, they missed the mark, I think, on some things here. I don't think we have a 1,000-foot long submarine out there under the water somewhere. There might be, who knows? But yeah, there's a lot about it that it was, people alluded and said it was like the Star Trek of underwater and stuff along those lines. Yeah. I can see that. I wish they reboot it. Since there's some other TV shows from that time, like Babylon 5, they're talking about rebooting it. So it would be nice to see it get rebooted. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be nice. But yeah, this one is just, a huge influence on me and ASC. So, yeah, and there's a whole lot more underwater habitats I could have picked from this one. It was just hard finding pictures. I almost thought about going back through old episodes and doing screenshots off of them. But it was, once again, is in the 90s, so like the computer graphics were just bare minimum. So all of them were muddied looking and not the best looking anyway. But if we're going to rank it, I'm trying to leave my own personal bias out of here. But I think they were more believable for the most part. A lot of the ideas and stuff on those ones. So I'll go higher. I'll go a 6 on it.
A 6, Babe?
Well, that's my problem. I'm torn because like when it first came out, it's live action.
Yeah.
So believable, or more relatable, I guess would be the best way to say it. So more relatable, and I really enjoyed it. But the longer it ran, the more different it got.
Yeah.
And so by the end, I was down to a 6. So, I'm like, yeah, so I don't know really. If we're going by the first part of it, then I'm all in. I'm like at an 8. I think it was great when it first started. It was like, this is awesome.
All right.
Adam?
Brendan's at a 6. Babe's at an 8. I'm giving it a 4. Hear me out.
Because you haven't seen any of it?
I think that has a lot to do with it. And
can no longer be friends.
So, and here's the deal. This is where maybe you call it an advantage, meaning I don't have an emotional attachment to it. I'm looking at it purely from my own, heart, I guess. And to me, it's just not flashy. I like the flashy, more standout stuff. It has, from what you've explained to me of the show and whatnot, it does have what I would envision a research military type feel to it, where it's just like, all right, we're not here for the flashy design. This is because, we need to make it functional and blah, blah, blah. We're not here to make it pretty. So in that aspect, it's probably right on the nose, but.
Well, here's what you don't understand. That dome right there, I mean, there's probably 500 people inside that thing. These things are huge on the show too. So, I mean, there's another show we're going to get to, and some of the screenshots I got from that were from inside. It was filmed at the same time. It looked like they were using the same lots pretty much as far as some of the designs go for Sequest. So you get to see some of the internal design elements. And I can see where you're going. Did you have something you're going to add there, babe?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. So next up is Ocean Girl. And here's one. I don't know if you guys have heard of Ocean Girl or not.
Never.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So Ocean Girl was an Australian show from 94 through 97. So basically the same time as Sequest. I guess the whole premise is that there's this really rich family and they're going to build this underwater habitat called Orca City. So this is a picture. This is one of the pictures of it. Let me get some more pictures here of it. And I say this is the same time, so same basic computer graphics as what Sequest had. So very similar stuff. Oops. And I guess I didn't have one of the internal shots on this one. But yeah, I don't know much about it. I think my nieces watched it my oldest one watched it for a little bit because I remember it vaguely, like on reruns or something along those lines. But yeah, that's all I know about it. So it's, I tried to scan through the Wikipedia. I wanted to go back and watch just like some trailers of some of these. And I did catch a couple different trailers of some of these ones we're going to talk about. But some of it was just like, hey, never heard of these before. Let's throw them up there and stuff. So since I don't know anything about them, and it's in the same era as Sequest, and I say design-wise, it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. 4, 3.
You gonna go with the 3?
Yeah.
I've automatically been scoring higher. I mean, first thing I thought was a 4 just because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool. They're doing, again, a live action.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it more relatable, more believable for people who don't know anything about underwater stuff and maybe spark interest kind of thing.
I'm going to go with a 4 as well. It's got a kind of a cool concept, but there's nothing flashy about it. There's nothing that makes it pop. And especially when I think it comes to sci-fi stuff, it's just like you want to have those designs that are just like that really grab the viewer's attention, I think. And like I said, just design-wise, pretty cool, but it just needs a little bit more, I think.
Okay.
I'm an aesthetic guy.
Next up on the list is The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest.
Ooh.
Again,
okay.
Another one I wasn't aware of. But actually, this was 96 through 97, so I was right around the same period.
I remember watching this show. I guess I don't remember this.
Yeah. And so anyway, this is one of the things that came up. I said, it's pretty elaborate. I don't even know what to think. It was just like, it's overwhelming. There's just so much going on in this image here and some of those lines. And this was like a very late entry. This was like one of the last ones I added in here because I was just going down a rabbit trail on Google, just looking through images. And then this came up there. I was like, what the heck is this? So again, not one I know much about. I pulled up the Wikipedia on it. I didn't have much to say about it. So I'm 4. I mean, it doesn't do anything for me aesthetically. It very much fits the feel of, you know what, that Johnny Quest era, I feel would have. But yeah, there's just, once again, when we get to the movies, I think we'll have a little bit of discourse because we know more about the movies than some of these obscure TV shows that were like one season and didn't really do much with. But so yeah, 4. Babe.
I only know the premise of Johnny Quest from comic books, so I mean I like the idea of this, but 3, you know, I've never seen it.
See, I'm the oddball out here. I gave it a 5 actually, just because just from this overall image, I'm seeing a lot of different variation from it. It looks like it's both a habitat and also like it must be some sort like a working facility too, because it's got all the equipment of they must be doing something there. So they're making a, you know, almost like it looks like a city kind of deal there that they got going on, where it's like they got an industry, places to live, and you know they got some lights there, shine things up. Yeah, to me it looks kind of cool.
My biggest problem with the thing is the legs on the thing. It's like they're very, for something that big, I wouldn't. It just looks a little feeble to me to be up on.
But maybe they're really strong.
I don't care. It's like I wouldn't trust it. I was like, you get one like sick whale to bump into it, and the thing was all falling over or something along those lines.
Why does it have to be a sick whale?
Well, because a healthy whale's not going to not intentionally bump into it.
I don't know. They talk about those orcas attacking stuff.
There's a whole bunch of little legs you can't see underneath. That's
mean, maybe
a whole bunch of them, like a millipede, you know.
Well, it kind of looks from this image. It almost looks like part of it's hanging off of a ledge.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Yeah, so maybe that's the deal. Maybe they're just supporting that side.
Maybe. Still, I still think you should have secured it a little bit better than that.
You're upset about the legs.
I am. All right, so that's it for the TV shows. Unless anybody else had any other TV shows they could think of that I didn't list here.
That's funny.
I don't remember any actual underwater habitats in it, but Man from Atlantis.
Right.
But I was trying to remember if there was any like man-made habitats in it, and I haven't been able to remember that there was.
And Marty had suggested Stingray, which is like a show from like the 70s or 80s. I can't remember. I looked it up and I couldn't find any other habitats in that. It's more submarines. So
really,
yeah.
The Stingray I remember was based around a Corvette, the Stingray Corvette.
So if you look it up, you have to find the right one. There's like 2 different ones. Yeah.
I'll be danged. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called Stingray. Anyway, so yeah.
Let me run through it. AtlanticSeaColony.com, guys. You know the deal. That's where you can find all of our socials: Facebook, Twitter. I'm sorry. Can we call it? We got to get in the habit. We got to get calling it X. X, formerly known as Twitter. Instagram, TikTok. We got links to the podcast. We got links to the Discord. We got. I'm sorry, LinkedIn. I didn't say LinkedIn. So all of our links of where you can find us on the interwebs is all out there. Like I said, Discord, join that. Brent and I have been in discussion a little bit about tying some Patreon and Discord together a little bit. We'll see what that conversation brings. Also, AtlanticSeaColony.com/merch. Only one of us is rocking the merch today again, and that's Babe, because he's the most supportive guy there is. So thank you, Babe. He's got that ASC water bottle back there. And so yeah, go to the merch store. We got plenty of shirts, hats, water bottles, all sorts of neat stuff is over there. Patreon, obviously, the people that sign up for Patreon get to be a part of this conversation. Anybody else that's seeing this right now is seeing it after the fact, so you're missing out.
And also, it may be chopped too for time length, so you may not get the whole experience as well.
More than likely, when they're seeing this, they're probably not going to see the part where we all got shirtless for a little bit.
That is a possibility. Or
they
who
might
knows what else.
I don't know. So thank you to Brian Acosta, Matthew Cathy, Martin Reese, S. Babe Hyde, and that sexy son of a gun, Adam Jewell, for being Patreon supporters. So yeah, if you have the ability, like our cheapest tier is $5 a month. And like I said, we're going to try to develop that to be something that's more inclusive, I guess you could say, where you get a little bit more interaction and all that for it. And, it's super helpful for ASC to be able to have that, so that we can, keep building towards this thing and not just have it be a pipe dream. We can actually get it done. So, thank you guys for the support. Whether you're seeing this after the fact, whether you're seeing it live, joining us on social media, whatever it is, every little bit of help counts, and we appreciate that. So until next time, Brennan, is there anything else you want to go out with, or is that
we're good?
So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next ASC Patreon live stream.